All right, so I'm going to kick things off. I'm Mary Kearney. I direct the Center for Teaching, Learning, and Leadership. And with me today, we're a team, is Jim Wilkinson, who's with Distance Ed and Technology Integration. So we just want to say welcome and thank you for coming. So we want to run through some slides, and our goals for this session are really fourfold. The first is to do a quick review of some of the value of interactivity and engagement, and then to get an overview of what Softchalk is, and then to allow you to see some samples of active learning in Softchalk. And one of the great things about Softchalk is that they have lots of resources and lots of samples, so it's a well-established company. So on number 4, you'll learn about the Softchalk resources, which are, as we said before, just super robust, and it makes that kind of 10 p.m. polishing up your lecture and adding some additional media to it and putting it up in D2L or Brightspace makes that very easy because the online support is so strong. So those are the goals for this session. So the first one is to talk for a moment about some of the research that's been done on why interactivity is important. And when I say interactivity, I'm really talking about that in the broadest possible terms. I chose that carefully because it's not aligned with any other kind of language that's so that's very well defined. And instead, what I need is sort of this interaction that we can create with students that can be akin to engagement. It can be akin to active learning, and so it's that kind of area that we're really talking about today. And there's been, over the last 3 or 4 decades, some very strong research that's gone on around the topic of student engagement and active learning. Lee Schulman is one of the leaders in this field, and for many years he was at the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. And he emphasizes well-considered activities when he writes that learning begins with student engagement. And I think that that's very true. Unless students are fully engaged in the material, they're not really necessarily going to be learning. Russ Edgerton's higher education white paper indicates that students must engage in tasks of our discipline's work to comprehend the discipline's concepts. And I think that's very true. It's not enough to sit and listen. What students really have to do, what learners really have to do, is to actually engage in the disciplinary work. So ultimately what we're going for here with interactivity, and starting with a kind of fairly low-level interactivity, the easy interactivity that Softchalk provides, is that outcome of student success. That's really where we're going. And so the Associate Director of NESE, the National Survey on Student Engagement, Jillian Kinsey, explains a key component of student success is time and effort put into studies and other activities. So meaning activities outside the classroom that are educationally enriching, as well as the activities that they do on their studies. These components lead to the experiences and outcomes that constitute student success. So again, this is all about, these little snippets are all about the kinds of research that's out there that help us to understand and to use the best activities and work and approaches in our classes in order to ensure student success. So aligned with student success is this idea of student engagement, as Jillian Kinsey's quote just showed us. And that's really sort of comprised of 2 key components, and there's been a fair amount of research on this, and so it's reliable at this point. So the way that we really get student engagement is twofold: that we have them do active learning, where they're engaging themselves in active learning, and that they feel a good motivation for the subject. And the way that we can foster motivation is twofold. Number one, they have to actually believe that they can do the work and do it successfully, and they have to believe that the work they're doing is of significant value in their lives and in their studies. So those are kind of the twin values: expectancy and value, help to create motivation, and motivation and active learning really lead to student engagement, and student engagement is critical on the path to true student success at our institutions. So in my experience with Softchalk, and I've been using Softchalk since I think around 2007, so my experience is, so what's the value of interactivity in classes? For students, it's a quick, easy way for them to apply the course ideas, to test their knowledge, to build that self-efficacy, that knowledge that they know that they can do the tasks that are expected of them, that we scaffold the knowledge, break it into component parts, have them do activities so they understand the component parts, and then have them step up to integrating those activities and doing higher level work. So they're doing these components in Softchalk with the activities that we offer them, and they build that self-efficacy. And then they also are able to, with Softchalk, make connections among ideas and their skills. So it's a quick, easy way for us as instructors to see what students have or have not learned. We can do that outside of class in Brightspace, so that we don't have to use class time, and so we can immediately step into classes and see where they are and cover materials that maybe they need to go back over. It provides a space for us to upload and to show materials, to show ideas and definitions, to have students practice at a range of levels, which we all know in our classes. Of course, we have students from a whole range of skill levels who may or may not have fully absorbed all they needed to know from previous classes, and so we're able to scaffold in smaller activities for them to learn things in order to be successful in our class. It also helps us to build that motivation with the student engagement in the course materials, to build their expectancy of learning, and to also know that they're going to get good support from you. I think Softchalk and having those materials in D2L really helps students to understand that we're there for them, and we're providing them activities that they can use to master the course content. So that, to my mind, is really what the value of interactivity in classes is. And again, it's based really on the research that has been done in teaching and learning and scholarship of teaching and learning. So moving on to another goal, understanding what Softchalk is, it's really a simplified method for creating polished, interactive web pages. You don't need to know or to learn any HTML or other markup languages, which is one of the reasons why I love it. It makes it super simple to get in there and immediately create easy web pages with good navigation and with all kinds of great visuals and interactivities. You can embed media and things like that. So I use Softchalk, and I have been using Softchalk because it's easy to learn for me. It's intuitive. It's virtually as simple as word processing. It offers a polished format with embedded organizational tools. And then it also prompts me and helps me to be ADA compliant. That's the American with Disabilities Act. So you can tag images. It offers cascading style sheets. It's got these the ways to put in navigation features that are ADA compliant. So what is it that we can include on our pages in Softchalk? What can we create? Some of the things that I've done is that I've transferred my PowerPoint slides and the visuals and the question prompts and other kinds of items that I've used in PowerPoint, and I've created lecture notes. And the students have really appreciated that. It allows me to create little pop-ups with text annotations, definitions of terms like modernism or allegory in my line of work. It allows me to offer pictures with labeling. There are little quizzes in some of my Softchalk slides. So there are all kinds of other things that you can do. So Jim, do you want to pick it up from here and talk a little bit more about what else you can do?
Well, thank you, Mary.
I'd also like to welcome all of you guys that came in today to our webinar. And I want to show you some of the some actual examples of some of these items that you can put into your lesson in order to provide active learning opportunities in your e-learning course environments. I'm going to share my screen now to show you some of the examples. Here's a couple of examples of 2 Softchalk created lesson elements that have been inserted into a D2L module. You'll notice I've created a Softchalk activity demo module for today. The first one is an actual course, or not actually a course, but a lesson that was built that I have downloaded from the Softchalk site and their Creative Commons area. It's under, and the subject matter here is not so, but it has some flashy graphics and some insertion and some elements for interactivity that I think you'll find interesting. The first one is, I think Mary alluded to having some self-assessment questions. On the first page, obviously, is mostly text. However, at the bottom of the text area where the study the student would take, the author has provided a self-assessment, self-check question to help reinforce what they've read and to help them with their understanding of this particular set of lecture. You can see here, you click on self-check, and this is an interactive item that has been put in or inserted where they can actually match up certain, in this particular, the question is a matching question. And at the end, they can check their answer, and it has a value of points associated with it, although you could do it as a self-assessment with no grading associated with it, just for reinforcement of the study. The next page has a rather interesting graphic here. This is called a rollover or hotspot activity that you can insert into your lesson. And of course, all of this has been built on Softchalk as a interactive website. What this means is somewhere in here, if you roll over certain parts of the graphic, that you'll see a pop-up with some text explaining that. Well, since it's a rather large graphic and there aren't a lot of hot spots, it gives you a way to click on and find where the hot spots are. So by rolling over near where the hot spots are, you'll get a pop-up of a box that it gives you some explanation about that part of the graphic. Same thing for a couple of these here. This is just an example of inserting an audio file or an audio clip of a famous person that they note here discussing some of his experiences with hurricanes. And of course, this might be a prime and a good place for another self-assessment type question. This is a good example in this portion of some graphics. This is a video insertion, animated video insertion that is used to reinforce what's being discussed in this portion of the lesson. And with some further reinforcement, it actually used this graphic insertion, a video graphic insertion, to be used with a self-assessment type question here, a question, a think about this type question, and then they can check their answer and get an embellishment upon the correct answer of from the graphic. So that pretty much shows several items and several types of interactivity you can introduce into your lesson. Although there's quite a few more. Let me show you another one back here on my example here. That was actually inserting a lesson that you pre-built in Softchalk and brought it in to a short lesson. You could also almost build an entire course this way, or a short course. The next example I have is an example of just inserting an activity itself that's built in the Softchalk environment. And this activity is a jigsaw puzzle type activity, which I thought was interesting. This is a fun type, game type activity for the students. And as long as the image you're building your jigsaw of is something relevant to the lesson you're teaching, then it is a relevant interactive way to achieve some active learning using just a game type device. And I like to use something like this more as a self-assessment. This particular example would look like, this is the image that is broken up there. When they reassemble it, it becomes this image of a chart that compares leadership versus management. This is from a military project. So it reinforces something they've studied, and once they build it and see it again, I think that's helpful. By the way, I'm in the Softchalk environment, but I'll come back to that again as time allows. You have questions. Now, what I'd like to show you is where you can go and obtain the use of Softchalk through our here on our server, our UNG server. On the My UNG page, you would be on the faculty staff page. Don't know why that's open. DETI has a resource page to give you what you need to install and use Softchalk here on our campus. You go to our distance education button, and I guess you could say this is a bit of an advertisement for us, and then come to faculty resources under our menu, and under that sub-menu, Softchalk. This page will give you information about the software. It gives you links to the Softchalk web page, which we'll take a look at in just a moment, to their product web page. And this area here gives you information on installing and accessing the software depending on the campus that you're on. It is different. We have a somewhat different IT scheme between Dahlonega and Gainesville, Oconee, and Cumming. I said Cumming. If you're on, and I believe that the folks that are in today are on the Gainesville campus, in which case you would access this through the UNG menu on your start menu of your desktop machines. If you're off-site or you're using a Wi-Fi, there's a way to come through what we call the VLab system here in UNG, and it actually operates, once you're into the virtual area, it operates the way you would operate it through the UNG menu in Gainesville and Oconee. For those that might end up in Dahlonega, at least for the time being, they would have to install that through a different method. And of course, DETI is here to help you with that, help you set that up and get started there. It's no lack of resources and assistance that you need. The Softchalk site itself provides some outstanding training tutorial information, some of the best I've ever seen in the software business. And I'll click out and show you that. Here's a page that just describes the different types of webinars and training they have, and these particular ones here are self-paced. You can also see, and again, there's another link to some of the same resources as well here. You can also see other examples of their lessons under their showcase. Here's some different lessons from their Creative Commons that show other examples of using interactive and active learning within them. And last but not least, we also give you information on, and we will help you uploading a Softchalk lesson into the D2L e-learning environment. And with that, I'd like to open it up. I think Mary would too. We'd like to open it up to the questions, if you have any.
This is Chris. Jim, can you actually open up the program like real quick and just let us see what it looks like in there?
Sure. Okay, I had this one activity loaded in here, but what I would like to show you is when you first open it, you basically get a clean clean field, and you'll notice that it looks a lot like Microsoft Word, some type of a word processing interface. It has standard pull-down menus across the top.
Mm-hmm.
It has a toolbar. And the one area that I would emphasize here today, particularly we're talking about active learning and interactive activities, we can get those through our insert menu here with quizzes, what we call the quiz popper or the text popper. And by the way, Mary mentioned she likes to put in some quiz embellishment within her notes or slides sometimes, and that's done with the text popper. The quiz popper allows us to put in our self-assessment questions, the different types of questions we'd like to use. We saw the matching before. The activity submenu is where the heart of the matter of interactivity is. There's just a whole long list of different types of activities you can use, and if you're not sure what they are, how you would use those, Softchalk has provided a very nice way for you to find that out. So for example, I wanted to say, well, maybe pairs would be a good activity to use. I would click on pairs and it would open up the window for building this activity. But since I really don't know what I'm doing with it, I don't really know if I really want to use it and how it works, I would go to this How-To tab, and each one of these activities has this. And then it gives you an example of how that works and what it would look like. And if you want to really go into it and actually, you can't really do it here or engage the activity at this level, but if you go to their online example, it opens up and gives you an example here, and you can actually engage the activity at that level. Another thing they give you is an online tutorial video, which will come up, and like I say, they have some outstanding support information on this. The fellow that does this training.
Welcome. In this example, we're going to be creating a pairs activity. We place our cursor where we would.
And as I showed you there, the fellow that does that, he goes at a very, very slow and deliberate, very almost elementary pace at times. But he's giving a very thorough step-by-step explanation on how to build any one of these activities. Actually, they have the online tutorials for every activity.
Okay, so you're actually making the file, creating it here, and it's just like any other file you'd upload into D2L then, correct?
Right. To begin with, you're building, as Mary said, you're really building, this is really a web page builder. You're building, web pages are comprised of groups of files and folders.
Right. I'm pretty good with that.
Familiar with that? Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And then you have to package that set into a zip file and import it into, or bring it into, I should use the word import, you bring it into, load it into D2L, and then you would unzip that and link it through a special file that web pages use called an index file.
Okay.
This is Mary, and Jeanette is there with you, and she can walk you through it the first time that you do it. I can also walk you through it the first time you do it. It takes maybe 2 or 3 minutes at maximum once you sort of understand the steps to make a quick change or to create something, and then to package it and upload it into D2L. So it's super quick.
If you were to edit one, let's say the files are zipped, and then let's say you just edit your text page, do you have to re-zip the whole thing, or can you just overwrite that one text page if you want to re-upload it into D2L?
You're talking about wanting to make understand the question. You wanted to make some sort of changes or revisions to your,
even if it was just
lesson, and you wanted to put it back up into D2L again.
Right. If it was just an editorial change that didn't involve any of the interactivity, would you just have to re-zip the whole thing and send it out?
Yeah, unfortunately, you do. The problem is that because it's a group of files, you really need to go and open it up in Softchalk, make your changes,
I see. Okay.
repackage it and then and basically you can overwrite in D2L, but I would actually recommend deleting, because what happens is you will install it into a folder in D2L, in the D2L course. And what I would recommend doing is deleting the entire folder in the D2L course, and then just reinstalling it or re-uploading it into a redone folder. So that way you make sure you catch everything.
Yeah, it has a very nice look to it. The text, the first one you showed us, the first example, is very nice look to it.
Christine, this is Jeanette. You've been through the QM training, haven't you?
I have.
They use Softchalk for all that training stuff that we did.
Ah, okay.
Remember how it was broken out into nice little chunks?
Yeah.
That was Softchalk.
Okay, well, got it.
Did Ada have a question? I saw her hand up a few minutes ago.
Hi, Jim. I have a lot of questions. This is very new for me. I just wonder if there's any template I can use so I don't start like from zero, because I don't know anything. Is there any template that I can use?
Well, the answer, I guess, would be yes and no. I hate to say that. It sounds like I'm waffling. I can help you set up some type of a template for you to start with. Now, the only thing that a template would help you with would be to know, for setting up the properties that give you your page headers and this type of thing. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. I brought up a project that I have here, and you notice that it's pretty plain. It's just some text with an image inserted. There's a page break with another page, and there's just not much there. However, if I show you what this actually looks like as a web page, you'll see it looks quite a bit different. Here's what it looks like, the finished product looks like. You'll notice the difference is there's a header up here, and the page with a way to navigate through the pages, etc. And what I guess in answering your question, Ada, is that I could probably give you some of these header templates that you use inside the Softchalk Create interface or inside the software itself, and then provide you with some instruction and show you how that you can set up and design how you want something to look. Because of the fact that you don't really see exactly what it looks like inside the editing environment, but they do have a way that you can look at it in your browser. The thing that I would do in teaching you how to build this, and Mary might have done this with hers before as well, I usually sit down and I do a thing called storyboarding. I actually, on paper, I draw out what I want it to look like, what each page is going to look like. And it's just sketchy. So I don't know if that helps answer that question or not, but we're certainly here to help you with that, and we can get you started and get you going and help you put it together.
Thank you,
Once
Jim.
you've done it once, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I have to start using it and see what can I do with it. So maybe start playing with it, and see what happens with every tool. So thank you.
I might add, we'll have a webinar. I'll schedule one in the summer for building a lesson module in Softchalk and putting it into D2L. However, if you want to get together before then, one-on-one clinic, as Mary said, we're all available to help you. I can get together with you on the Blackboard session like we're doing now, and a one-on-one and an appointment, or even at our offices, however you'd like to do it.
Maybe I can start just seeing what can I do, and then I'll let you know, okay? But thank you so much. I'll let you know because I really want to start using it for my classes.
Ada?
Uh-huh.
We could start playing with this together if you want, and what I thought you wanted to do was convert all your PowerPoints, like copy and paste the information. You could take one PowerPoint at a time and get it into Softchalk.
Okay. Okay.
And then you'll have all those options to add interactivity that you didn't have before with PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay, is that an idea?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty.
Well, this is Mary again, that's, what Jeanette just suggested is essentially what I did. I sat down with my PowerPoint and I did a sort of copy and paste, and then I began to play with the functions of Softchalk, and I looked at a couple of tutorials, and I was off and running. So anyway, it's easy, and it's especially easy if you have Jim or Jeanette sitting next to you. So, well, I think that's the time that we have for today. If there aren't any more questions, we'll go ahead and sign off and say thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you. This was very, very good warm-up. I feel very comfortable just going in and playing around. So thank you. I didn't know we had it.
Very useful.
Okay.
Let me know if you need anything, Chris.
Appreciate it.
I will, Jeanette. Thank you.
Okay. You too, Anna.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.